Hey y'all, and welcome back to Be Finds Joy, where we are unapologetically living a joyous life boldly. Today, we are going to be talking about the 5 steps to create a budget and then actually work through a case study to create what the budget actually looks like. We are almost at the end of the Money Made Simple, the Budget Blueprint course, and you're about to create your own budget. I'm so excited. We've been doing a lot of the work. You've been putting in the time, and I'm so proud of you. We're almost there. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, my name is Brittany. I am on a journey to live my life joyous in every aspect of the word. Especially through 6 pillars: faith, family, friendships, finances, freedom to do the things that you enjoy and love, and friendships. And this portion of this journey is all around finances and to get us on track to help us reach our financial goals. Some of the other videos that have been in this series that we've already done so far, there's a playlist below, but some of them include calculating your income, calculating your expenses, understanding the differences between needs versus wants, understanding the differences between fixed expenses and variable expenses, understanding where you are if you have debt. All of these things are important as we finally get to creating this budget. So we're going to get started. The first thing that we're going to be talking about is the 5 steps to create a budget. This is really important that you identify and work through so that way you are ready to go when it's time to create your budget, because it'll help align where you are with your goals, with your finances. So get organized is number 1. You have already done this step if you've been a part of this series as already. So we have already talked about income, we've talked about our expenses, we've talked about our debt, we talked about our financial goals. So if you want more information on any of those things, definitely check the videos down below. So we've already gotten ourselves organized. We've already calculated the income. So the amount of money you receive from your job on a monthly or per paycheck basis. All right, you determined your expenses. So this is the difference between the fixed expenses that we talked about, which are the expenses that are pretty much clockwork every month. You know that they're coming out. Most of the time it's your bills, your electric, your phone, your internet, any debt payments that you have to do, anything that you have within your financial situation where you have to pay, or if you don't pay it, something's getting shut off, turned off, someone's going to be calling you. That's fixed expenses. The variable expenses are the expenses that vary. It can vary from month to month. It can vary in how much it costs. So a lot of examples for variable expenses could be your groceries, your gas, your personal money, your entertainment, fund money. That's all considered variable expenses. All right, so the next one is creating a goal. So this one's really important, and it kind of gets you to think about your why. So in the beginning of this course, we talked about what our bold why is, why you want to create a budget, and this will help you to think about what your financial goals will be. I've actually listed my goals down here. So for me, it was pay off $10,000 worth of debt this year, $5,000 towards an emergency fund, and to budget consistently. So I'm going to write that down here, because that goal will then help you to make the plan of how you execute it. So when you're looking at your goal, my goal is pay $10,000 to debt, save $5K for emergency fund, and then budget consistently. Like Perfect. All right. So then what is your plan? How are you going to execute it? So we talked about the different types of budgets. So have you determined what budget works for you? Are you a zero-based budget? Are you pay yourself first budgeter? Are you a 50-30-20 budgeter? Thinking about your specific financial needs, financial circumstances will help you to identify what type of budget you are going to use. So type of budget identified. And then you were going to identify how you were going to use your budget to help you to reach your financial goals. So the remaining money that you have at the end of after you pay your fixed and variable expenses, how will you divvy that up to go to your debt? Will you divvy that up to go to your savings? Will you put the savings goal first before you do your budget? So all of those are really important of how you execute it, because that will help you to get to your financial goal. So type of budget identified, and then I'm going to put debt / savings goals. All right. So that is the steps to create a budget. Getting yourself organized, understanding your finances, understanding what's going to be the best method for you to budget, calculating your income. You can't budget without knowing how much money you're going to get on average every month. Determine your expenses. How much are you paying out in fixed expenses? How much are you paying out in variable expenses? Do you need to cut back on your groceries or cut back on your subscriptions to allow you to have more money to reach your financial goals? Which that is number 4, create the goal. What do you want to do with your money? How will creating this financial goal bring you joy? For me, paying off $10,000 worth of the 140 something thousand dollars worth of debt, check out the video if you want to see the breakdown that we have, will relieve some stress on us where we can use that money to go into our debt snowball. I do a whole video in this course about the debt snowball versus debt avalanche and which one works best for you. Having that $5,000 emergency fund will bring me joy because I know I have a rainy day fund that if anything happens, I don't have to put it on a credit card. I don't have to move money around in my budget that I've already created. I have a money put aside for those emergency expenses. And budgeting consistently helps me and brings me joy because I know when I do budgeting on a consistent basis, I reach my goals. When I don't, I fall off track. And then do it. That's the plan. That's how I'm going to do it. I've identified that for me, a hybrid method, we talked about the methods of budgeting, whether it's hybrid, using spreadsheets, using an app. For me, I'm a hybrid. I like you writing things down and working on an Excel spreadsheet, as well as the zero-based budget method. Something that I'll also be incorporating is the cash envelope method. So all of those components I've identified works best for me, and then that will help me to execute my goal of debt and savings. So that's a quick version of how you can set up your steps to create your goal. So then let's look at this sample. We're going to do a budget together. So it might be easier if I take this out. So we're going to be using these 2 pages and we're going to be doing this monthly budget right now. So let's check out our fictitious person and their budget. So let's practice. Use this case study below to complete the budget on the next page. So for this fictitious person, they have a rent of $1,000. They have an internet bill for $69, a car payment for $150, utilities, so their electric, their water, sewer is $125 a month. They are budgeting $150 a month for groceries, $75 for entertainment. They do have some subscriptions for Netflix and Hulu for $15. They have other subscriptions. Let's say it's just a like social media type subscription is $10. And then they have $300 for student loan payment. So Alex has a monthly income of $3,500. So on this side, we are going to put the starting income for Alex is $3,500. Okay. All right, so that's the only income that Alex has at this point. So we're going to bring that total down to $3,500. Now, at the end of the month, you notice that I've put the budgeted because that's how much we know on average Alex is getting per month from Alex's job. At the end of the month, what you'll do is you'll go back and see, actually, you'll look at your bank statements and say, Alex worked overtime one of the weeks out of this month and actually got an additional, some more money. So the actual might be higher than what this is. You don't want this actual number to ever be lower than what you budgeted. If that's the case, you might have to reevaluate some things. You want this budgeted income to be worst case scenario, no matter what, you know, on average, minimum, you're going to get this amount of money. All right, so now let's look at the fixed expenses. So when I'm looking over here, what would you say our fixed expenses would be? So as I'm looking, a fixed expense for me, again, is if I don't pay it, someone's calling me, something's getting shut off, I'm not going to be able to thrive and survive in a roundabout way. So rent, let's mark off. So we'll say that rent is a fixed expense, internet is a fixed expense, car payment is a fixed expense, utilities is fixed, groceries is actually variable, entertainment is variable, Netflix and Hulu, because it's on a monthly basis that comes out of your account, it's actually a fixed expense. Other subscriptions is a fixed expense, and then student loans is a fixed expense because if you don't pay those are getting shut off. Now, what I will say is, well, I'll talk about that in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. Now let's move this information over to this budgeting template. So what are all of our fixed expenses? Our fixed expenses includes rent for $1,000. And this is going to be the zero-based budget method. That's how I'm budgeting out. It's just easy. I think it's a great way to start budgeting. So as I'm doing this, this is a zero-based budget method. Internet is $69. Car payment is $150. Utilities is $125. Variable expenses is groceries, and that's $150. Entertainment is over here. And that's $75. Netflix this is $15. Other subscriptions is $10, and then student loans is $300. All right, so now what we do is we want to calculate, we start with the income, then we go to fixed expenses first as we do our budget. So we start with 3,500 minus, well, first, actually, we have to add all these up first. So 1,000 plus 69 plus 150 plus 125 plus 15 plus 10 plus 300. So $1,669. Just do it one more time. Perfect. So now what we do is we need to figure out how much money after our fixed expenses are paid do we have left over to go towards our variable expenses. So 3,500 minus 1,669.00. So we have $1,831 to now go towards our variable expenses and to go towards our plan. Now let's add up our variable expenses. So our variable expenses is $225. So then you take this to get your remaining, you take the 1,831 minus 225, and that gives you $1,606. All right, so now you have $1,606 in your monthly budget that then can go towards your plan. So let's finish reading. Alex has $8,000 in student loan debt, is trying to save for a home, and would like to take a small vacation over the summer. So what I would do is we want to focus on that debt, right? Because the faster we can get that debt paid off, the better. So what I would do is I have $1,606 left over after my fixed expenses and my variable expenses are paid off. What I would do is I would, for my debt snowball, so make an extra payment of $1,000 to go to my debt snowball. Because now already I'm putting a $1,300 towards that $8,000 student loan. There's interest in there, but still you're making such a large sum additional payment that the more that you can add that high debt snowball amount, the faster this debt loan comes down. So that means I now have $606 to go towards my other goals, which is saving for a home and a small vacation over the summer. So home, you have the summer, let's see, it's January. It doesn't give you how much it is. So let's just say we're doing this video in January and you want to go away in August. So that gives us January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So 8 months. And let's say that the trip is $1,000. So for here, the trip is $1,000 and you have 8 months to do it. So how I would do it is I would break up my total amount into 8 months. So I'm putting money aside each month so that way when August comes around, I have the $1,000 ready to go. So $1,000 divided by 8 is $125 is going to go towards the summer vacation. Which means then the next is home. You are saving for a home. So then we would take whatever the remaining, because right now we're doing a zero-based budget. You can for other types of budget, you can leave this money into a buffer account. You can spread it up in different checking accounts and accounts. Do whatever you want. But in this method, these are our goals, and we're using all of our money. We're giving all of our money a place to go for the goal that we have. So 1606 minus 1125 means that $481 is now going to go towards my home for this month. So then I calculated it up and it should come out, because the goal is that this is going to be 0. So then we take 1000 plus 125 plus 481, and that gives us $1,606. And that's how I would budget out for Alex with the goals that Alex has based on the income and expenses that Alex has for his financial situation. Now, I will say you might have a budget where you actually you have your income and all of your expenses only leaves you with like $100, $200 left, but you still have to eat, you still have to get gas, you still want to those are the main things that you pretty much have to do. You might have, eat, get gas, maybe one other thing. And so that means you might have to go in and be like, oh, okay, I need to take $25, take away these Netflix, these subscriptions. I'm actually might need to get rid of the internet until I have some of my goals reached, and do maybe a subscription or like a streaming service. Because when you get rid of those, this would give you, what is this? 15, 25 plus 69, almost $100 extra that then can go towards your variable expenses. You might only have a budget that allows you to get your variable expenses and your fixed expenses covered. You might not right now have money to go towards your financial goals. And if that's your case, what you can do is thinking about how can you earn additional income, whether it's a part-time job, a side hustle, whether you go to your employer and ask them for a raise, whether you do some overtime if you can. The goal is that you have all of your bills, variable and fixed, covered with your income, and then you have money left over to go towards your plan, because the plan is where the joy is. Now, there's joy in that fixed part, but the plan is, for me, this is my financial goals to help me towards getting to this ultimate joy that I have, paying off debt, have an emergency fund. Eventually it'll be, sometimes it's like a trip, sometimes it's, maybe it's a car or anything, but you want the goal to have money left over so you can go towards these goals that you have down here. And so that might mean that you might have to move and shake a little bit differently to get additional funds to be able to do the things that you need to do. So I hope this was helpful. This is the easiest way that I think anyone that's starting out budgeting or maybe is struggling with overspending to really see where your money is going and for you to make the necessary changes that you need for that month. This month, typically I'm overspending. Let's say you overspend on groceries. Okay, you know that you can overspend. So you might have to bring down your groceries to $100, or you might not be able to do entertainment this month to make sure everything else is accounted for, or to make sure that you can put money towards your goals. To give you an example of some of the things that we've had to do in our family, our cable was just crazy expensive, and we had so many channels that we didn't even watch. And so what my husband and I did, we got rid of cable, and now we just use a streaming service, and we saved over like $150. I love to read, and I had a like Audible, but not Audible, like a what do you call it? Not it was like an e-reader, but then it was like an audiobook one as well. And I removed that subscription because that $15 could be used for other things. And so having the tough conversations to make the decisions to help you reach your goal is going to be essential as you're on this budgeting journey. And while, yes, you might have to make some sacrifices now, the sacrifices will then help you to reach that joy that you have with reaching those goals that you set for yourself. So y'all, that is this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure that you like and subscribe. Make sure that you join the Joy fam. We have fun over here. The next video that we're going to be talking about is sinking funds. And then the last video, we'll be going through doing our actual budget together for this upcoming month, which is, we did it. So we'll talk about sinking funds, and we'll probably talk a little bit about some savings challenges that you can do if you want. But other than that, y'all, we are chipping away at it. And yes, I'm so excited that we are doing what we need to do to create a bold budget. And a bold budget is one that you believe in, one that is objective, one that you can leverage, and one that you can depend on. Have a good rest of your day. See ya. Bye-bye.